Okay, hello. Day 3 of the Thrive 5-day series, live stream series. I've never done this and it's super fun. So I am really excited to be here. I'm hoping that there's a bug over there. I'm hoping that the light, I was having trouble with the light, so hopefully it's okay. We've actually been having some fires in the Vancouver, Canada area. And so we are so close to Canada that it's been carrying over. So the lighting is not as bright as it usually is, at least at this time of the year. Winter, it rains. I just can't believe that it is August already. I was just talking about this with my husband this morning. Just can't believe it. And for all of you who are not watching this in August, which will be a lot of you, it'll probably be raining by the time you see this, but that's okay. So I'm so excited to continue. We are talking about manifesting your kick-ass life today. Pretty much everything that we're talking about is about creating the life that you want, and the honing in on your desires and figuring out what it is you really want in your life and who you want to be and how do you do that, right? That's the entire program of the Deserve to Thrive course is centered around, creating the life that you want, diving into yourself, finding you within the mud and the muck of where you are in your life right now. A lot of you are stuck. A lot of you are just surviving your life when you should be thriving, which is exactly why I have called this Thrive, right? Because that is something that I am super passionate about. I always want to say the word desperately, but that doesn't feel the right word, but maybe it's coming out of me because that's kind of how you feel sometimes. Like you want so much in your life, and you know that you can have it. I think that's why you're here. I think you wouldn't be here if you didn't believe in yourself and you didn't believe that you deserve to have everything you want. You wouldn't be, working on the Deserve to Thrive course, or, tuning into my videos, or filling out workbooks, or doing the work, working with a coach, working with whoever you work with. Like, you wouldn't be doing that if you didn't believe in yourself. And so the whole kind of premise of the Deserve to Thrive course is using that belief to propel you forward. So, walking through all the things that we've talked about, right? We had a great discussion about self-love and self-care yesterday. And today we are going to really kind of dive into your values and dive into your desires and how you can use both of those to create goals that freaking kick ass and move you forward and get a lot of momentum for yourself. The number one thing that I say this a lot, the number one thing, but I really do. I hear a lot. So maybe it's not the exact number one thing, but it's something I really do hear a lot from a lot of you, is that you don't know where to start. When you have all these desires and things that you want in life, and you feel like you're surviving and you feel like you're stuck, but you don't know where to start to get that forward momentum. This is a great place to start, by honing in on your values, by honing in on your desires, and then creating some tangible goals, which we then chunk down into pieces that you can be taking action towards every day. The way you start moving is by taking action every day. I want to do some notes. I want to see if this works this time, because it didn't yesterday. The internet was all wacky. So let me see if I can. I know it's a little maybe distracting, but I want to see if I can put some of these comments in some of the things that I'm saying into the comments so that you can follow along even without watching the whole video, and that you will have the journal prompts and those things. If not, I might just have to go through it later after this whole event is over. I don't have time to do it right now. But let's see, the way to take action is to start. And the way to start is to break bigger actions down into smaller chunks and just make them happen. Let's see if that works. Well, it looked like it went in there, so we'll see. We'll see how that works as we, develop the journal prompts and we develop the work that we're doing. Okay, so let's first start on our values. Now, this is something that I talk about with every single type of client that I work with, even if it's a business owner, even if it's, someone who doesn't own a business, someone who just wants to work on their personal development, they are working on their self-esteem, they're working on trauma, depression, anxiety, moms, whoever I work with. Values are one of the first things that we talk about because your values are who you are. I'm going to write that down because this is something that I'm going to eventually want you to journal about. So yeah, that's the first journal prompt is just starting with that. Who are you? Who am I? First thought process, just go with it. Figure out, perfect time to write if you need it. If you need it with your pen, I really like journaling with, hard, real pen and paper. But just go with the stream of consciousness of who am I? Because you're going to find some pretty amazing stuff. Like I said, and I'm going to keep reiterating this, journaling is some powerful stuff. I have, number one, I journaled and figured out that I wanted to do this program, which was not at all even on my radar. I didn't even think about it. And as I started journaling, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling called to do this. And I want you to feel that. I want you to feel called to take action in your life. And journaling will help you do that. It'll also help you figure out what actions you need to take. So that's a journal prompt. Who am I? It's a big one. This one can be like a journal prompt every single day if you want to. One of the journal prompts that I use every single day in terms of who am I as kind of, a coach and a person is, what do I want people to know? What's my message, right? I journal about that almost every day. And then I start to see themes. And then when I see themes, I tell you about them, right? So I really think that just letting yourself go in terms of, who am I and what do I want the world to see? Who do I want to be? I mean, these are things that you can be diving into every single day and you will find something different and this will lead you to where you want to go. Now, in terms of my Deserve to Thrive course, obviously, I have a lot of targeted questions that walk you through that step by step. But this is a perfect journal prompt to get going and to do every single day. And obviously, we have tons of journal prompts in this program and I'm all about journaling. So you might want to revisit maybe weekly. But this is, this is the core of what I'm talking about in terms of your values. What is important to you? What matters, right? I'm going to put that in the prompt. Your core values. What is important to you? What matters? This is you. So your values are what will drive your desires. They are what will drive your goals. They are what will drive your everyday life. And when you're stuck, when you're surviving, that generally means that you are out of alignment with your values. So you're not connected to them. You're not valuing your values, which I could, for lack of a better word, you're not respecting them. You're not honoring them. And so when you're stuck, you're not connecting with them on a daily basis, or you're totally out of alignment, which means that you're doing maybe the opposite. So maybe, I know I've talked about this before. I think, I'm not sure if I talked about it in one of these videos or another video, but as a business owner, I work really hard on my business and I work on it multiple hours a day. I am lucky to have a child that loves to nap and sleeps very well. And so I get to work on my business then, but that's not enough. I don't get to work 8 hours a day like a normal job, and which I kind of wish I would, because I love doing this kind of stuff. Anyways, the more I work, the less it takes me, the more it takes me away from family. So yes, I get to do work on her nap times, but I'll be listening to a video when we're sitting on the beach. And this was actually the topic of a very heated discussion, I will say, with my husband this weekend, because I was listening to a video about funnels, like seriously, on the beach, and it was beautiful, and it was a Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember which day it was, but it was so beautiful, and I was just like, I don't really see this as work. And he's like, but it is, I don't want to listen to a video about funnels, and I'm like, okay, wow, let me reconnect for a second. My number one why I do this is my family, spending time with my family, being connected with my family. And yet this business if I don't, work it out properly, it can take away from that. So I felt a little stuck. And I wasn't quite realizing that. I had some anxiety. I had some stress. I'm almost 8 months pregnant, and I don't want to feel stress, and I don't need to feel stress. And I was feeling it, and I couldn't really figure out why. And it's because I was out of alignment, right? My core value is connection and family. And what I was doing and what I am very passionate about was taking me away from that in that capacity. So that's just it's kind of a tangible example. But imagine that, here's another example that just popped in my head. Say you are really, really religious, right? I'm personally not, but I do believe in a higher power, and I believe in God and the universe, and that we are all meant here to do amazing things, and that we're all inherently good, and whatever. Those are my beliefs, right? But imagine that I am super diehard spiritual and religious and whatever you want to call it, but yet I am dating someone who is not, right? Or I am doing something that is in complete kind of, maybe I work for a company that's doesn't have very good values, or doesn't believe in honoring people, or treats people bad, or whatever, whatever that is, understanding my core values of I believe in good people. I believe in everyone doing good, and a higher power, whatever that is, you're going to feel stuck, right? Because if you're not being able to live your values out every single day in a true and authentic way, then you are going to feel stuck and out of alignment. So this is why we hone in on our values. This is why we list them out. We discover, we go into it, obviously we're not going to get into all of the work that we do in the course, but because it's really long and extensive, but this is just the gist of it, right? Really hone in on your values. What is important to you? What matters to you? And how do you want to live your life? How do you want your life to look? I want to look at these comments really quickly. Oh yes, so yeah, I am pregnant. I'm due in 5 weeks, which is crazy. So some of you who are watching this in a few months, because I'm going to use this going forward, I will have a baby, which is crazy. And Melissa, no problem. You're late. I love that you're here. And yes, business boundaries are hard, Zoe. I know. I think boundaries in general can throw your alignment out of whack, right? Boundaries in terms of relationships, kind of like the exact same example that I'm saying, boundaries in terms of your own values, right? I'm really, if someone's really spiritual and they're with a partner who's not, or if their core values are family and the other person's is not, or you work 80-hour job, but your core value is family, like, how does that line up? That would feel really terrible every single day, and you would feel stuck, right? And so being able to recognize your values. So the first step is recognizing them, right? I'm going to write that down. Oh, you know what? I lost my comment. Ay. How does that happen? I think I just lost. You know what? This isn't working very well. My internet's not bad. That's okay. I am going to close that and not pay attention to it, and I'll have to go back later. Oh, sorry. The first step of doing this work is to recognize your values. So first, you've got to become aware of them. You've got to do the work, do the journaling, allow yourself the space to dive into what's important to you. Dive into who you are and what you want your life to look like. Okay. So that's the first step of understanding your values. Now, the next step is reminding yourself of your values. Now realizing like, okay, what in my life is not in tune with these values? Because you're going to find if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you're surviving, then you will have areas that are not in alignment with your core values. And so that's the next step, right? Recognize the areas in your life that are not in alignment with your values. And then these are going to be the areas where you are going to make change, right? These are the areas where you're going to start. These are the areas where you are going to devote your time and energy to. So this gives you a really good idea of where to start. For those of you who have questions about, okay, well, I have all these things that I want to work on, but I don't even know where to start. Do your value work first. Absolutely. Because you will then find the areas where you are out of alignment. Sorry, I'm having a call come in, but you can't see that, so that's good. So that's the value work that you want to do. And that you can stay there in that place for a really long time, which is good because you're constantly evaluating your values, constantly evaluating where you're out of alignment, and then making the changes, putting yourself in the space to recognize the changes that you need to make, recognizing the values that you need to make important, and then figuring out the ways to do that, creating a plan, creating space for this change. A plan includes identifying. Okay, am I back? I have no idea what happened there. That was not an important call at all. Sorry. He just called like a couple times on 2 different ways, and I thought something was wrong, so I picked up, and it was about an email password. So, sorry about that. I don't even know what that's going to look like on the replay. I guess it said it was paused. But here I am back. Yay! I'm sorry. Yes, Melissa. I don't know what. That was weird, and I'm glad that it can just pop right back on. That was awesome. Okay, so visiting our values every single day would be super powerful, right? But I think it's really important to be journaling about these values, be figuring out what in your life is out of alignment with these values, and this is where change starts. This is where you can start creating those, goals. We're going to create our goals from our desires, but we always also create our goals from our values, right? We can see exactly where we need to make the changes, so that we can get back in alignment into who we really are. And another piece of our values is like, who do we really want to be? We don't have to be the person that is who we are now, right? So maybe your values, you want your values to be family, but they're not quite there yet. Make it a really important part of your best self, the person you are working towards, right? So those values will turn into goals. And now we're going to move on to desires, the desires that you have in your heart, the things that you want, the person you want to be. This is all part of creating the life that you want, creating the life that you desire. And so this is a really big journaling experience as well, is figuring out what you want, right? And I like to challenge people to do 20 to 25 desires, what they want their life to look like. And I want you to write them a lot, right? I write my intentions every single day. The intentions I want for my life, another word for that is my desires. And I write them as if I've already had them. And when I do that, it opens myself up to look for more opportunities to get them. It opens myself up to more positivity in terms of accepting what is thrown at me. Like for example, doing this live stream event, I didn't plan on it, right? This was something I seriously threw together. Well, I didn't really throw it together because I'm doing it right now. But Sunday night, I was like, I'm going to do a 5-day live stream event tomorrow. And I did it because it felt like the right thing to do. And I was open to the opportunity to connect with you more. And I felt like that was the place I needed to be. And so because I write down as an intention and as a desire, one of my main desires is to make an impact, right? To be able to help people, to move people to action. That is one of my core, biggest desires. And so when I write about that, when I hone in on that, when I make that desire the forefront of my mind, things like this will pop in there. Okay, well then go get out there and talk to people. Get out there and do an event. Get out there and connect, right? And that's just one example, Thank you, Melissa. Yes, it was, it was a little scary because I was like, I haven't even prepared for this. No one's going to show up, which no one did show up on the first day, but I was totally fine. I had a lot of fun. But that is, I think, and you said I need to work on action taking. I think that's such an important piece of honing in on what you want and reminding yourself over and over again of it, because then you're going to be way more open to taking those actions, even if they're small. So this was like kind of a big thing to chunk off, especially when I'm, working on the course and launching it again and all sorts of different things that are on my plate. But I felt so drawn to this action, that I know that if I was, thrown into other smaller actions, I would have taken them. So I think just listening to yourself in terms of what comes up for you when you do hone in on, I use the word hone a lot and I would love to find another word. I don't know. But when you hone in on your desires, you will start to see actions that you can take and actions that don't feel huge. So, I don't know exactly your situation, but, sometimes actions get so big that they're really intimidating and, you don't even know where to start to take action. So guess what happens? You don't take action. So being able to be open to and I think for me, journaling is really helpful in terms of finding out those smaller actions, and figuring out what those look like. And because, I've been, journaling the last couple weeks and I've come up with 3 other programs that I want to start. And these are big programs. This, the Deserve to Thrive course is a really, really big program, which it's been taking me months to get this out there. And all of a sudden I have 3 or 4 more ideas of these humongous programs. And that to me is really intimidating. But the more I kind of focus on what it is I want out of these programs, then I start thinking of, I could make this workbook. I could do this, or I could blog about this. These little actions that I can take that can lead to this much bigger desire of mine, which is totally in line with the desire to make an impact, to move people to action. That is all what I'm all about. That's what I talk about in pretty much every email. Everything that you hear from me is about taking action and taking action every single day, whether or not that's what we talked about yesterday in self-love and self-care, whether or not that's what we're talking about today and diving into your values and your desires, whether or not that's what we talk about tomorrow, which is really discovering your story. Whatever that is going to lead you to your desires. And so coming back to our list of desires and what can go on it. Everything. I mean, one of my desires when I did this, I actually kind of want to do it again and see what's changed and what hasn't. Because life changes and it's totally okay for you to change what you want. And not to beat yourself up about it. Cause I do feel like people are like, oh, I used to want this, but now I want this and now I have to do all this. And it's like, it's okay. Just go take action on it. But one of the things that was on my list was like, we have a family dog and that's something that's really important to our family. But recently we also, like, we've been having housing issues because we live on a small island. And so we can't get a puppy. And now I'm, about to have a baby in 5 weeks. So we can't get a puppy now. Although we were like super close to getting a puppy the other day. And I was like, this is not right. And then we want a specific dog. So we need to be lined up with, breeders or looking in shelter, whatever it is. Like, it does actually, like, this desire of having a family dog actually does take a lot of time and action, right, to figure it out. But it kind of seems like a seemingly small desire, but it is one of our core values as a family to be having, pets and animals and things like that. So no desire, my point is when I say that, no desire is too small. And no desire is too big, right? I want you to dream big. I want you to think that you are going to find the most perfect mate for you. I want you to believe. You know what? Scratch that. I said think. I want you to believe it. I want you to believe that you can make, $100,000 a month in your business because you can. I want you to believe that you will have the perfect career and job that will just bring your passion out. I want you to, whatever it is that you want, nothing is too small. Put it on this list of desires because you will, when you are reminding yourself of this list of desires, you will do it and you will get it and it will come to you. The more that you put this in the forefront of your mind, actions will become obvious to you. Opportunities will throw themselves at you. I mean, I'll give you a short example. Like I said, I live on a small island, right? I say this a lot because it's a big deal because we used to live in Los Angeles. My husband and I are both from Los Angeles and we were born and raised there. The only time I really spent away from there was, I went to college in Michigan. I went to grad school in Massachusetts, but that was only for, 10 weeks out of the summer. And I traveled, taught English in Thailand and traveled around Southeast Asia for about 9 months. Other than that, I've been in Los Angeles, a big city. And we decided that that's not what we wanted. And we moved to Orcas Island in Washington. That's where I am. So it's really hard here. Number one, to find housing. You've heard me talk about that. But also jobs. I do this. This is my job. But my husband has an MBA and there's really not a lot of jobs for MBAs here. And he decided to go and get his commercial driver's license because he could get a job that way, and he got a job. And there's been so many times along this way where shit has been thrown at us and we've been like, oh, let's just go back home. This is just too hard for us. Let's just go back home. We can go move in with my parents for a little bit and figure out you'll get a job down there. Let's just go home. It's like, wait, what? What was the point of us moving up here? Why did we want to do that? Right? That probably happened 3 or 4 times. Now, did we ever do it? No. But we kept falling into that, right? Until maybe, I don't know, a few months ago even, we just made the decision, like, this is our home. This is our home. This is where our community is. This is where we want to be. This is where we're choosing to be. We set our intention that this was our home, right? And guess what started happening? More job opportunities started happening. I got some job opportunities that were easy for me to do from home, and do some of the work that I want to do on the island started coming to me. People emailing me out of the blue saying, hey, we need a therapist on the island to do this contract work. You can work as much as you want, work as little as you want, but we need you there because there are families that need you. I'm like, heck freaking yeah, I want to do that. I want to reach out to this community and be a part of it and help families in need. I wasn't even looking for that, right? And it's not something I even needed either. But guess what that would do for me? solidify me in this community, solidify us in our home, right? So honing in on your desires and being in tune with them, this also goes right off of what we were just talking about in terms of your values. Your values and your desires need to be linked. Your values and your desires need to be connected, and they need to be in alignment with each other. When they're not, you got to check yourself, because what you want and who you are and what you really want in your life need to be together. Like, for example, our desire of having a connected family and small community and being in nature, whatever you want to list in terms of being our priority, that's a value of ours. And our desire is to be like the same thing, but our desire is also to like survive. But yet living in Los Angeles was not connected to that value. And it felt so out of alignment. And we pushed it, we did it. And now we feel like we're in alignment. We feel like we're in the right place. Yet it still can be hard. Even if you're making all the right decisions, life can still get hard. So that's why I just want you to stick with your values and stick with your desires. And if you keep doing that, you will succeed. You will get what you want. You will be the person you want to be. But it doesn't, I don't want to sit here and say that it's going to be easy. There are going to be obstacles in your way. And this is one of those things I always talk about, identifying your obstacles and seeing what's ahead of you. Well, we didn't really quite see that because we didn't really think much of like a housing issue on a beautiful place, but it is, and he had a family home, and there's issues there, and that's okay. But we weren't able to identify the obstacles. And so sometimes you won't be able to either, and that's okay. But just be always connecting to your values. And when we were personally, it's like such a very personal story of mine, when we were able to connect to that core value of family, lifestyle, in terms of work-life balance, just like honing in on the real core values that we have personally as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, and him as his own person. Like, our core values are the same. We want family, we want community, we want, peace, really. And that's not what we were getting in Los Angeles. We didn't have our 15-month-old then, but I can't imagine it'd be even any easier. Anyways, getting back to these desires, reminding yourself of them, setting your intention daily. I do it daily, and it's like super, super powerful for me. And I've been doing that recently. That's not something I can say I've been doing it for years. But I think when we started honing in on our values, it became really apparent to me that this was something I needed to revisit every day, because I wanted to be in alignment with my core values. So I want to read Zoe's comment. Yeah, it feels hard to take action towards change in my business because I'm afraid to look flaky. Even what I'm doing doesn't fit me anymore. That totally makes sense. But I think, you won't love it, right? You won't love it if you are not taking action towards, your you-ness, like what it is is driving you, your desires, your core values, right? The only way, this is not the only way that you can be successful in business, but the only way you'll be able to sustain it and love it and live it is if it's in total alignment with who you are. And I do think you can have a successful business when it's not in alignment with who you are. But I don't think you would be as successful, right? I think the sky's the limit when you're in alignment with who you are. And so being able to be vulnerable and honest about those things with the people that maybe it's like telling clients that we're not the right fit, right? I've told clients that we're not the right fit because they aren't exactly what I want to be working with, or that they're just not where I am. It sucks to give turn down money or turn down business, and people aren't happy about that, but it just happens, right? Being able to be in alignment with your values and infuse those values into your life and business. I mean, I think those can go hand in hand, right? We'll take it to the next level in terms of like your happiness and you feeling really good about everything that you're doing. So lastly, I want to get into goals. We've touched on this, but and I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of goal setting because I do that a lot in the course, but I do, and everyone has their own ways of setting goals. I like to chunk things down into small actionable steps. That is how I do it. That is how I personally do it. That is how I personally teach. But we just pretty much figured out exactly how you set your goals, right? Hone in on your values and figure out where you're out of alignment and where you want to be in alignment. Set a goal. What would that look like? What actions do I need to take? Brainstorm action steps that you can take towards that goal, towards that alignment. What does that look like? So I want you to do that. That's one way to set goals is your values. And another is your desires, putting them on a timeline, figuring, okay, when can I get this desire? Is it 30 days? Is it 60 days? Is it 90 days? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Is it a year? 2 years? Whatever that is, being able to break down your desires into this kind of tangible way of achieving them turns your desires into goals, which is really exciting because then it makes you feel like you actually can get your desires, which you can. And that's why I'm here to tell you that. So that is like the gist of the goal setting part, but I think we focused a lot on the core of the goal setting, which is your values and your desires and getting into alignment with both of them. That's where you'll find your goals. I go into lots and lots of ways to be successful at goals, like your success mindset and how do you stay on top of your goals. That is also in the Deserve to Thrive course. So I don't really feel like I have time to get into all that now, or the mind space, because I've just really felt really passionate about talking about your values and your desires today. That's what was pulled out of me. And I feel really good about that. So I want to remind you the Deserve to Thrive course is open. It's only going to be open for a few more days. I am super pumped about it. I have put so much love and heart and soul into this course. As you can see, as I talk about all these topics that are in the course, I'm really passionate about moving you to action, getting you out of where you are to you where you want to be. And that is what the course is about. So I really hope you join me. I will pop the link into the comments. Eventually I'll be putting more, the notes into the comment. Oh, these videos are actually coming down on Sunday. So the journal prompts won't be in here, but I will be sending out an email that you will have the journal prompts as well. So thank you so much. And I just want you to remember, you deserve to thrive.